Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside Beneath the Med, Regia Marina at Sea, 1940 to 1943. This is a game designed by Gregory M. Smith and published by GMT Games. This is a fourth in a long-running series of games. The Hunters started us all off with U-boats in the Atlantic, and it was a really fun game. These are solitaire games if you're not familiar with them already, but I'm sure you probably are. First there was the Hunters, then there came Silent Victory, and then the Hunted, and then finally Beneath the Med. And this time we're the Italian submariners, and things are a little different here, which is pretty cool. It still goes with that same tactical decision making, and the narrative will unfold before you. And you'll be able to promote crew members, you'll sink a whole bunch of tonnage, and see how long you can last while accomplishing various missions. So let's take a look at the back of the box and see what this game's all about. Beneath the Med is a solitaire tactical level game placing you in command of an Italian submarine during World War II. This is the fourth game in the Hunter series and covers one of the largest fleets of submarines in the world at the time. You command one of many submarine models available starting in 1940 and look to successfully complete patrols until the armistice in September of 1943. Not only is this a standalone game, but fans of the Hunters will enjoy having the capability to complete Italian careers in one of the many interesting classes of Italian submarine. While your mission is to destroy as much Allied shipping and as many capital ships as possible, players will find it extremely challenging to survive until the armistice. Beneath the Med is purposely designed to deliver a brisk yet intensive gaming experience that forces many decisions upon you as you take command among the major Italian submarine classes. All the major classes are accounted for, with every level of detail, including period of service, armaments, crew makeup, damage capacity, and more. Fans of the Hunters will enjoy the same nail-biting game system, but will be challenged by the thick Allied air cover and the problematic fire control systems of the Italian boats. 10 Italian submarine classes are profiled and available for you to choose from. Patrol zones reflect the period during the war at sea and will shift as the war progresses. All stages of the U-boat campaign are represented. Difficult missions include mine laying, commando delivery, and the extremely dangerous harbor penetration missions. And it has a whole bunch of different highlights here. 12 Italian submarine classes represented, 9 different patrol assignments, 480 shipping targets, so on and so forth. I'm not going to read them all for you. You can read them on the website or on your own back of the box when you pick up a copy. And as I said, this is a solitaire game. It goes for 2 to 3 hours, and it is low to moderate complexity. Contents, we have 2 full-color counter sheets, 1 rule booklet, 6 player aids, 1 patrol log sheet pad, 6 two-sided submarine display mats, 1 two-sided patrol map, 1 submarine combat mat, 3 6-sided, 1 20-sided, and 2 10-sided dice. So let's take a look inside and see what you get. All right, we got our rulebook, counter sheets, our sub mats, 1 more, a couple more actually. And we've got our patrol map, player aid cards, the target roster, attack mat, and then we've got our crew status, patrol log, and our bag of dice. So let's take a closer look at the game. Well, normally at this point in my previews, we look at a map, but we don't have a map in this game. Instead, we have mats. And this is a sub mat, and this is your attack mat. When you're playing, you're going to have 1 submarine mat out there in front of you. This is the submarine you'll be commanding. And then you have the attack mat, and this is what's going to drive combat. What we're going to do is we're going to put this on the side, and we're just going to look through the different submarines that we have, because there are a whole bunch of them. And I'm not going to try to pronounce them because my Italian sucks, and I don't want to offend a bunch of Italians. I'm married to an Italian, so I don't want her getting mad at me for my bad pronunciation. So you can see the different art on each one of them, and there'll be different capabilities for each vessel as well. Just like we saw in the Hunters and Silent Victory, each class of submarine is going to have a little bit of different quirks and capabilities, but we've got plenty of subs here to go through, a dozen, and that's a lot. And the thing about the Italian Navy is they had, some of the best torpedoes in the world, but they had a really crappy fire control system, which is what is said at the back of the box, and that's one of the great challenges. Unlike the Americans, where we had really bad detonators, but we had pretty decent, fire control system or whatever, but there were a lot of problems that you had to battle through in like Silent Victory. This one, you have different challenges to battle through, and that is a nice challenge to have to deal with. Now we'll take a look at the other player aids that come with the game. This is the Patrol Zone map. And on the front we have the Atlantic, and on the back we have the Mediterranean. And it says beneath the Med, so you're expecting to be in the Mediterranean, but it's pretty cool that it looks like we'll have Atlantic missions as well. So double plus good, double the fun. And we have the attack mat, which we saw briefly before, next to the submarine mats. This is where you'll be keeping track of all aspects of your surface combat and subsurface combat for your submarine. Then we get to the submarine patrol assignment. On the front we have Beta Som, and on the back we have the Med. And what you're going to do for both of them is roll 2d6, and then based on the date, that will tell you what your patrol location is. And on the bottom you'll have your aircraft encounter table, as well as the anti-aircraft attack versus aircraft resolution. Then we have the encounter chart based on a roll of 2d6, and the location, it will tell you what it is you're taking on. On the backhand side, we have the submarine torpedo deck gun fire chart, torpedo dud chart, attack damage chart, escort detection and escort air attack chart, and the submarine damage chart. And we have the tanker target roster and the Caribbean Brazilian target roster. Roll 2d10 and that will tell you what target is in front of you. And on the back we have the warships and capital ship target roster, so that way you'll see what big monsters you'll be facing off against in either the Med or the Atlantic. Then we have the small and large freighter target roster, and on the back is the submarine damage and repair chart. Then we have the SLC attack procedure, targets, drop-off ranges, detonation chart, harbor penetration, and post-attack, as well as optional evasive maneuvers and variable escort quality. And on the back, to add more to the narrative, we have random events. And we have the Commandante and crew status chart, so you can keep track of your crew and their growth. And we'll take a look at the counter sheets that come with the game. As you can see, a lot of administrative counters, because you're going to be keeping track of a lot of statuses on your submarine mat as well as on your patrol mat. And then you're also going to have some targets that you'll be shooting at, and that's what these counters will represent. Then we get to the submarine patrol log, which you will use a lot. This is how you're going to keep track of your different missions and the successes and failures that you've had throughout your different careers as part of the Regia Marina. Now we'll take a look at the rules. This is a 24-page rulebook. The table of contents is right here on the front. And on the inside, we start off with the introduction, how to play the game, gives you a general overview, conducting patrols, submarine refits, and then ending the game. Game equipment, you have your submarine display mat and your submarine combat mat, the two main mats that we were looking at before that will be in front of you all the time. That is how you're going to fight your boat and resolve combat. The different types of counters that you'll be using in the game, charts and tables, the log sheet, parts inventory, the different game terms, and then you start off with your start date and submarine selection, prepping your patrol log sheet, your submarine display mat, torpedo load, ammo markers, determining your basing, and then whether you're out of the Atlantic or the Med. And then we start off with the sequence of play on the next page here, and this will walk you through all the different steps in the game. It's a procedural game. You will make decisions, and then you'll roll dice. You'll check different charts depending on what the situation is, and the resolution will drive the narrative forward. Initial basing, special missions, and special missions you'll have supply runs, mine laying, commando delivery, and convoy intercepts. SLC attacks as well, if you want to use those manned torpedoes that the Italians were great for, and you can use that here. Then we have the combat general procedure starting here at capital ship encounters, warship encounters, convoy intercepts, tanker encounters, aircraft encounters, day and night, and switching from day to night. Obviously, if you're going to do a surface attack for a submarine, a U-boat, back in those days, you want to come up at night, because if you come up during the daytime, it's going to take away your stealth, and then you're in a lot of trouble when you're facing those surface vessels. You have the attacks against shipping here, choosing your range, night surface attack, firing torpedoes, second salvos, deck guns versus unescorted ships. You have an unescorted ship, don't waste torpedoes, use your deck guns on those. And then combat against escorts, exceeding test depth, which is something that you'll probably do once or twice. You're going to have to, especially if you're getting hammered by escorts, you're going to probably push the envelope on that. I've done it a few times. It's worked most of the time, but it doesn't always work. Encounters with aircraft and the different types of incidents that you'll have when you are having to deal with aircraft, following a convoy or a ship, submarine damage, and the different types of things. And let me tell you something, this stuff can really cascade out of hand pretty quickly when you get yourself into some trouble. You'll have injured crew and damaged systems on your sub, and it is definitely not a lot of fun. You can also do a patrol abort, and then you can issue awards to your crew, so that way your crew can also get promotions and gain experience and get better. You can get reassigned due to serious wounds or due to a lengthy refit. And you could also request a different assignment if you're not happy where you're at. You have your random events, multiplayer and tournaments, top tonnage tournament, survival tournaments, mixed boat tournaments, and then you have some optional rules like standard tonnage amounts, increased historical targeting, evasive maneuvers, variable escort quality, and variable aircraft quality, as well as variable generic escorts, which is always really cool to change the variation of those things out and make it a lot more difficult. Then you have the historical submarine names, and as well as some notable Italian submarine commanders. The designer's notes and the bibliography there on the back of the rulebook is the index. And that is a look at everything you get inside of Beneath the Med. This is a game designed by Gregory M. Smith and published by GMT Games. As I said before, this is the fourth in a long-running series. The Hunters started all off with the U-boats in the North Atlantic, and now we're in the Mediterranean with the Italian submarines. And it is just a really interesting series. If you like narrative-driven games, these games you'll really, really enjoy. Don't worry about the charts too much. I mean, there's a lot of charts in this game, and there's a lot of chart shuffling, but it becomes very easy to understand, the flow of it as you do it. It's not difficult. The game's not hard to understand. And the charts, like I said, at first might seem like, oh, that's a little daunting to look up all the charts. No, you'll hit one or two charts and then push them aside and only pull out others when you need them. It's not like you're constantly flipping through every one of them to determine how things go. You'll make your decision, you'll refer to a chart, you'll roll the dice, and there are decisions in this game. It's not an autonomous game. You're not just along for the ride. Don't get me wrong, it's very narrative driven by the charts, but you still make decisions, and it just creates this really, really rich story. And that's what's so much fun about this series. And that's why I keep selling out the Hunters, the Hunted, Silent Victory, and now Beneath the Med. So if you are into submarines World War II and you haven't played any of them, this is the latest one. Give it a look. If you have played the others and haven't picked this one up, it's available now from GMT Games. And I wonder where Greg Smith is going to go with this next as far as subs. I would love to see him come up with a way to do a modern submarine, which would be totally different, obviously, because you're not going to be operating at periscope depth and going up and down, up above the waves and beneath the waves based on time of day and whether you have to snorkel and stuff. You go beneath the waves with a modern sub, you stay there. Stealth is your total way of life. So it will be interesting to see if he does look at that in the future. Greg, there's a hint for you. Love to see a modern submarine game if we can do that using this system. Well, hope that helps you guys out if you've been curious about this one. If you have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.